Lesson 35. The body. Hob, Pedro, Lucille, Olaf, Frida, Jan. Hob, in most of the books that I have seen for learning English there's a lesson on parts of the body to give you all the vocabulary. Here's one, by Professor Dryasdust, with a picture. That will show you what I mean. Mr. Priestley has never given us a lesson like that. Lucille, and a jolly good thing, too, I can't think of anything more boring. This is the picture that Hob brought to the class. It is from Professor Dryasdust's book English for Ruritanians and is printed here by kind permission of the professor's publishers, Mesers. Apfelstrudel and Co. Strolsa. Olaf, besides we know all those words, head, arm, leg, nose. It would be a waste of time. Hob, all the same I'm going to ask Mr. Priestley for a lesson like that. A little later. Hob has asked for a lesson on the body. Mr. Priestley has listened to Hob's request and the objections of the other students. Mr. Priestley, I think there is a way of letting Hob have the lesson he wants. After all, it's not often that he wants a lesson, and yet of not boring you all. There are a good many idioms, which may be new to you, belonging to parts of the body, so what I suggest is this: Hob can use his picture and give us the vocabulary, then any of you can supply an idiom, using the word Hob has given us. If none of you can give one, I'll try to do so. Is that all right? Pedro, I think that sounds a most interesting and useful idea. Mr. Priestley, very good. Well, Hob, you can begin. Hob, I have a head. Pedro, Tom was head over heels in love with Helen. Frida, Hob can do good work, when he takes it into his head to try. Jan, when you are in danger, the important thing is never to lose your head. Mr. Priestley, you are doing so well at this that I am afraid success may turn your heads. Go on, Hob. Hob, I have a neck. Olaf, I don't know who is going to win this competition in idioms. I think we are running neck and neck. Frida, I don't know many idioms, but I'll have a try. It's neck or nothing. Hob, if you don't do better than that you'll get it in the neck from Mr. Priestley. Mr. Priestley, continue, Hob. Hob, I have two eyes. Lucille, I can see that with half an eye. Olaf, will you accept a proverb, sir, instead of an idiom? If you will, I'll give you, in the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Mr. Priestley, well, we may not see eye to eye about that, Olaf, but we'll let it pass. Jan, I'm up to the eyes in work, but I want to find time to play football on Saturday. Frida, and when you see what a good footballer Jan is, it will make you open your eyes. Hob, that's all my eye. Did I ever tell you the story of the man who was cross-eyed, and very bad-tempered? He was hurrying along a crowded street one day and knocked into a man who was coming the opposite way. Why don't you look where you are going? The cross-eyed man burst out angrily. And why don't you go where you are looking? Answered the other. Mr. Priestley, all right, Hob, but get on with the job. Hob, I have a nose. Lucille, and you like to poke your nose into other people's business. Hob, you may turn up your nose at me, Lucille, but I'm bringing my cousin Belinda to our next party. Talk about a beauty. You'll need to keep an eye on your boyfriends or Belinda will put your nose out of joint. Mr. Priestley, come on, Hob. Keep your nose to the grindstone and give us the next word. Hob, I have, what Lucille hasn't, a heart. But when you ask me about my homework, my heart goes into my mouth, and then goes into my boots. Lucille, I'm sorry, Hob. I don't want you to take too much to heart what I said. I was only joking. Hob, of course, Lucille, so was I. I know there isn't a better-hearted person than you anywhere, and I say that with my hand on my heart. Mr. Priestley, well, now that Lucille and Hob have had that little heart-to-heart talk, may we have another word, Hob? Hob, there's my shoulder. That'll beat you. They are all silent. Mr. Priestley, that's a difficult one. I'd better take the burden of that on my shoulders, though I'm not so broad-shouldered as Olaf. But if we all put our shoulder to the wheel, we'll get over the difficulty. Hob, I have a tongue, and I expect you often wish I'd hold it. Lucille, well, you have a sharp tongue at times, but I prefer people who are sharp-tongued to those who are too smooth-tongued. Jan, I know another idiom, it's on the tip of my tongue but I can't quite say it. Mr. Priestley, there's a look on Jan's face that makes me think he's speaking with his tongue in his cheek. Give us another word, Hob. Hob, I was going to say tooth, teeth, but I'd like to tell you a story first about a man who had false teeth. He went away for a holiday, and his wife, knowing how easily they can be lost if you are bathing in a rough sea, wrote to him, saying, "Take care not to wear your new teeth when you are bathing in the sea." He wrote back, "Why didn't you telegraph?" Mr. Priestley, Hob certainly works tooth and nail to get his stories told, doesn't he? Hob, well, I nearly missed telling you that one, I just got it in by the skin of my teeth. Now what about my ears? I'm listening for your answers with all my ears, and I'm not deaf. Jan, there are none so deaf as those who won't hear. Proverb. Olaf, I remember that you said that anything you told your landlady went in at one ear and out at the other. Mr. Priestley, pass on, Hob. Hob, there are my fingers and my thumbs, 8 fingers and 2 thumbs, though when I dropped one of his best wine glasses, Uncle Albert said that my fingers were all thumbs. Lucille, and then, of course, you like to have a finger in every pie. Pedro, I'm struck by the way Hob always has a story at his fingertips. Mr. Priestley, all right, Hob, carry on. Hob, let's come to my bones. There's flesh on them and in my veins there is blood. Lucille, and some of Hob's stories are about as much as flesh and blood can stand. Hob, I sometimes think that the only person who really appreciates my jokes is Uncle Albert, but, of course, he's my own flesh and blood. Mr. Priestley, and, as they say, blood is thicker than water. But find us another word, Hob. Hob, there's my hair. And that's where I have the advantage over Uncle Albert, he's losing his hair and going bald. Lucille, I hope, in spite of what I've said, that you'll keep your hair on with me, Hob. Hob, I hope so. If I didn't, it couldn't stand on end as it generally does when I'm in your car and you are driving at 60 miles an hour. Lucille, you should be like Pedro. I can do 80 miles an hour when he's in the car, and he doesn't turn a hair. Mr. Priestley, in spite of the many hairbreadth escapes he must have had. Let's have one more word, Hob, and that, I'm afraid, will be the last. Hob, then let's take my foot. Mr. Priestley, very well, now put your best foot forward and see what you can do with this word. Olaf, I'd like to say something but I'm afraid I'll put my foot in it. Hob, Uncle Albert says that every time I open my mouth I put my foot in it. Jan, as time is short, we mustn't let the grass grow under our feet. Frida, after I had flew that holiday in Devon really set me on my feet. Hob, that's what Uncle Albert's fiver did for me. After I got that, I was able to stand on my own feet again. Mr. Priestley, well, we must stop there. Hob, but there are lots of other words in Professor Dryasdust's vocabulary: skin, nails, waist, beard, lips, throat, wrist, knee, toe, heel, not to mention my brains. Mr. Priestley, sorry, Hob, but we must leave it now. Hob, but... Mr. Priestley, no. This is where I put my foot down and say the lesson is over. You can stay and study your picture and vocabulary, but we are going, on tiptoes so that we shan't disturb your studies, to have our lunch. Exercises. Exercise 1. Use the following words and phrases in sentences. Boring, accept, bald. A waste of time, poke, disturb. Request, burden, appreciate. Objections, pie, at 60 miles an hour. Heel, veins, telegraph. Exercise 2. Complete these sentences by using an idiom about the word in brackets. 1. Grandma Wiggins is very tongue, as Mr. Wiggins knows only too well. 2. The boys were running neck, but Andrew just won. I hope that the win won't head. 3. John said he was eyes in work. 4. The teacher told the boy that he must foot and get on with his work, but I'm afraid ear. 5. We caught the train teeth. When we reach Bath we must get out quickly to catch our bus. We must not feet. 6. This concerns me. I wish you wouldn't nose. 7. When driving, Lucille never head, though her passengers sometimes feel heart, mouth. 8. I had a heart talk with the manager and I'm sure he wasn't tongue cheek. 9. The Welsh fought tooth for their freedom. 10. Though I don't always see eye with my cousin, I am going into business with him because blood. Exercise 3. Put the idioms or proverbs in these sentences into your own words, showing that you understand their meaning. 1. He likes to have a finger in every pie. 2. When Mr. Priestley made the hen house it seemed as though his fingers were all thumbs. 3. There are none so deaf as those who won't hear. Proverb. 4. I could see with half an eye that all was not well in that factory. 5. If he takes it into his head to buy that car, he'll buy it, whatever we say. 6. The schoolmaster told the boy he would get it in the neck if he didn't keep his nose to the grindstone. 7. The policeman kept an eye on the suspicious-looking stranger. 8. I know that man. His name's on the tip of my tongue. 9. That secretary is too smooth-tongued for my liking. 10. I'm going to put my foot down now. I shan't do any more sentences. Composition exercises. 1. Lucille couldn't think of anything more boring than a lesson on the parts of the body. Write about 80 words on A. The most boring lesson I've ever been to, be careful. B. The most interesting lesson I've ever been to. 2. Write a story called either The Man Who Poked His Nose into Other People's Business or A Hairbreadth Escape. Dear friends, thank you for watching our channel and learning English with us. Subscribe. And we wish you great luck in achieving your goals.